GM.
Good morrow.
Good morrow. Oh yeah, I forgot we're not doing GM anymore. That slipped my mind. I got to salute.
Boy, ETH is taking a little leg higher here.
Are we?
Uh,
Let me see. Where did my screen go? There we go. Oh yeah.
It's amazing how
In real
much
time. Once
a
the show starts.
$50. It's amazing how much a $50 move is when you're 30x leverage.
Are you 30x leverage right now?
I will not disclose my personal information on the show. Who said 30x? What are you even talking about? Pulling numbers out of the air. What? Who?
What? 30? That's
Who?
it?
What?
Those are rookie numbers. You got to pump that up. NFA.
No, you look, 100x leverage is super fun. Like, it's this thing like you got to isolate a certain amount of money in that account. Okay.
Yes,
so
yeah.
here's how you do it.
Don't fuck around with that one.
No. Like there is a strategy to do it properly for people out there that want to fuck with it, right? Like,
Yeah, of course.
when you're thinking about 100x leverage, you are going to get stopped out like immediately on what you're doing. Like you have basically you better buy either the bottom or the top or short the top or you're fucked. Now, knowing this, let's say I'm just going to take a number out of thin air. Like you want to put $5,000 in a trade. Like I'm going to bet $5,000 on Ether. What you could do is if you really thought we were near a bottom, you could put $500 in your isolated margin account because they allow you to isolate it in there because they know you're going to get liquidated. This way it doesn't take your whole...
Right, yeah.
So
your liquidation doesn't come at your entire portfolio.
Yeah, exactly. So you have a $5,000 trade. Now, let's say ETH had just broken below 1,800. You think a bottom is close, but you don't really know. Okay, you put 500 in there, 1,750, you fucked up. Oh, you get liquidated. Do it again, 500 in there, 1,725. Oh, you fucked up, you get liquidated. Third time you do it 1,710. Oh, it works. And then you just step back and let it do its thing. And it obviously, I'm just using that as an example, but that's how you would structure it. So if you're going to put X amount in a trade, divide that by 10, and then isolate those tenths into, like, if you think we're very near a top or very near a bottom, or if again, if you have a good read and you want to play a small leg or whatever it is, but that's kind of how you have to do 100x margin, 5x margin. Like if you're just a good trader and you want to add a little oomph to your account and your trades, you fuck with 5x and 10x margin. You're going to have pretty good leeway of, but believe me, those days where crypto just goes 10% in one direction for no reason, you can't even explain why. People are trying to figure it out that day. Oh, China said this.
Yeah, if you're levered up on those days,
it will liquidate you good, even at 5 or 10x leverage. So just be careful. Treat it like it's going to be liquidated. So structure your trades that way. Isn't that what we do in NFTs, right? Like most of these are going to go to zero. So I have to structure it like, well, I just got to make sure the ones that don't, I really get my gains on, type of thing, right? That's
I imagine 100x leverage is a bit like riding a bull. Even like the best bull riders fall off and get kicked every once in a while.
You have,
if you don't know what you're doing, you're gonna get fucking wrecked.
Oh, and plus there are ways to trade leverage too, right? Like leverage is it's a different mindset as far as like, as you buy, let's say you're right and you start to go, $100 in your direction, $200 in your direction. You can add more leverage. Okay, you can keep adding. As you make money, they'll let you keep increasing your bet. Because it's really just your original money, and you just get to keep. I
was gonna say that sounds like a parlay on sports betting, where they're like, yeah, keep betting more. Like, oh yeah, like
exactly. But when you think about it, right, as it's going up, you can bet more, but you don't like to buy when it goes up. You want to buy on the pullbacks and on blah 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 blah. But when the pullbacks come, you have less money. It's very counterintuitive. Like,
yeah.
it's much better to add to a winner you think is going to continue to go up, which is something that's very hard to do. Like, there's an old saying that Tudor Jones is credited with pioneering, and that's losers average losers. When we buy something, it falls 20, 30%. Your instinct is, well, let me average down. Let me buy more, especially with the DCA meme that people use for ETH and Bitcoin, which is different because you think it's going to go up over a long period of time. But if you're trading and you have something starts to go against you, do not average down. I mean, this is a trade, okay? This is not your life savings. Losers average lose. Yes, thank you, Trick Shot. PTJ is a legend. But winners add to winners, okay? This is something that's very hard. If you had a good concept, okay? I thought this, I bought Sand Ridge Energy 2 years ago. It was a natural gas tag. I bought it at $1.50, all right? It ramped up to $3. That's like, most people, it's like, I don't want to buy anything up 100%.
Yeah. Why dollar cost average up? Yeah.
No. Well, then a month and a half later, it went to $5 and then to $7. And today it's sitting at $24 because Nat Gas has been in some crazy ass bull market or whatever. But when you have a very convicted thesis, like Nat Gas has been my baby. Like I knew. There's just some things who knows why, but I knew, right? That's the type of thing where when you see your trade starts to work, you add money, you increase, okay? And
that's why you kind of shrugged off my statement yesterday about DCAing. I get it.
Right. No. I mean,
I'm not offended by it.
I do believe in long-term convicted ideas. You do DCA. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. I would.
Oh yeah, I mean, I was DCAing up and down. What I do is normally, like, if my DCA is, let's say, $150 a week, right? I'll buy $100 a week no matter what, and I'll let that other $50 sit in cash. And then when we get into depression, I'll deploy the rest of that cash into the lows. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
My DCA is $150, but I accumulate some cash, and sometimes it just goes up and up and up for a long time, and I just let it sit in cash for a little bit. If it pulls back, even if that pullback is still higher than maybe at my initial buys, I'll deploy the capital then. But
yeah,
that's my own thing. I don't know.
I am bullish on ARK, Cambo. So I'm a weird guy, right? 2 years ago, when all anybody wanted to own was Shopify and Tesla and Square and Carvana, all the hot fucking NASDAQ, Silicon Valley unicorns, I rotated into old man stocks. I bought things like Dillard's. I bought things like Sand Ridge Energy. I bought I knew this was coming. I knew that event. I knew my big thesis for a decade is we're going to have a bond crisis. If you look at my tweets from even 5 and 6 years ago, all I have talked about is the looming bond crisis. And it played out this year, right? And as it played out, I don't become a doomer and say the world is going to end. It's a thesis I thought was going to happen for a very long time. I see it playing out. And as I look at the knock-on effects and the underlying mechanics of what it's doing to the market, I can assess about when it's time to get bullish again. I think it's not a secret. Everyone knows I'm risk on again right now, but I've also been talking about, what I thought would be an extremely violent range-bound year since the end of Q4 last year. I did not think we would see the lows we did. I thought we would be more contained. I thought ETH would get down to like 2,800, 2,500, somewhere like there. I did not think we would see 17, to be fair. But I was expecting this, and I expected in traditional markets as well. I thought that what this would be a major rotation into the thesis that the street was lagging behind. And I actually really think this is what it is. The reason it got sticky was because we had the pandemic effects on the supply chain combined with now a war in Russia, which, we could all speculate on how on purpose that is to try to wreck the Western economy on purpose and, whatever. We could talk about what exactly the underlying reasons for this war are, because it's very perplexing, from the outside. I think most military experts say that this was not a war Putin could win either in the newspapers or physically, and he should have known that going in. So what was his calculus? Where everyone, I think, is still trying to figure that out. And whatever, we're talking about what the effects are here. So that is why I think things got a little worse than I expected this year. I do not think this is the start of a secular bear. I think this is the debate right now. Like, is this going to turn into, and I'm not talking about the 2-year bear you saw in crypto. It's funny. A lot of times now I ask people, hey, you trade the last bear market? And they were like, yeah, I was here in 2017. I start laughing. I'm like, bro, you don't have, I understand.
Crypto hasn't existed in a bear market.
Crypto hasn't existed. That's a scary thing if you're holding crypto. Crypto has only existed in a secular bull. You think about that, okay? You zoom out, and I'm not talking when the people say zoom out like 30 years. I'm talking zoom out to 2013 and look at the S&P 500. This pullback we've had, it's nothing. We are in a major secular bull market that would take another 33% down to really screw things up.
Hey, look, when ETH ran to almost $2,000 in 2018, Bitcoin ran to almost $20,000 just before that. We had all this run. It collapsed on itself. Altcoins were decimated. ETH was under $100. I mean, I remember in real time somebody was calling for like $127 when it was at like $800 or $900, and people were like, "You are fucking nuts. There's no way it's ever going down there." And then 3 months later, it hit that, and everyone was like, "Holy fuck!" And then it just kept going. What?
Bear? Did it go lower than that during the bear, like $50 or something? I don't know.
It wasn't that low. I think it bottomed out at around 90, like very briefly. But there was a point in time where if you were buying, you had time to buy around $100.
Oh yeah, well,
I mean, long time, and that was in like 2020.
Yeah.
And everyone said, it can't happen. It can't happen. While that was going on, the stock markets were making all-time highs. There was no pegging, there was no correlation to all of this, greater markets. I mean, the stock markets, the S&P, the NASDAQ, all of those stuff were just ripping. Yeah, exactly. What up, Larry? Yes, SPY to 450. I do think that there's a few factors right now that are very bullish short term for the stock market, which is why I've turned risk on. Well, let's jump into it. I'm going to pull up the screen. S&P is the bell rang. We're having a bit of a morning, almost up 1% already in the first 15 minutes. That's kind of where it was in the pre-market, though. So the S&P is sitting at about 4160 right now, and we're kind of crossing that threshold, a little bit of a leg down and bouncing up, maybe. In crypto, Bitcoin did briefly cross over that 32,000 mark. I think we said that yesterday. It is slightly below it. Bitcoin has been surprisingly stable through all of this, and even up almost 7% on the week. ETH has been a little bit more tumultuous. It's been just below 2,000 right now, 1964, up 1%, and that's pretty much all come since the show has started. It is down 2.2% on the week, but again, it's had some nice little rallies up from the dips that we've had. What are you seeing right now on the charts? Sentiment, etc.
It was weird because when ETH had broke away, decorrelated from the macro markets at the end of last week.
Fell wrong kind of decoupling that we wanted.
It fell under the lows we had already made. Even I was like, man, is this thing going to see 1,400 or 1,200, somewhere in that range? I was like, look, I always say we all have plans, but you got to respect reality. I'm not trying to predict, right? You come up with a thesis, okay? And then when it matches your thesis, you can make a lot of money because if it matches what you said, exactly. But if it doesn't, you adjust to reality. It's not about being right or wrong. We see reality. I'm like, oh shit, ETH dipped under the lows, really looks bad. But then it found buyers. There was a little capitulation. It found some buyers, and it was around 1780 where I was looking at it, and it's very hard to explain, but sometimes it just feels right. Okay, so I started to do a little analysis on the chart. I knew that if it got above 1830, it would negate the move down that it had made. That would get people who shorted the whole to start covering, and it would be a positive feedback loop, kind of what we said right now. And I think I think what this is a factor of, especially when it comes to ETH, is that besides the fact we had at least the media capitulation, you had traditional finance calling crypto dead. You had your normie friends who always told you it was a scam celebrating. You saw all the signs that you tend to see towards the bottom, that type of thing. And then crypto also has a very big news cycle coming up, right? With this ETH merge that is happening, that I think is already being discounted. It was like people have had the meme of ETH2, it's coming in 2030 and blah, blah, blah. Like people almost didn't believe it until all of a sudden yesterday it was like, yep, confirmed. June, I forget the date. I think it's June 8th. The test net, the ETH2 test is going live.
Yeah, Ropstein. I didn't have this article pulled up, but I mean, great timing for it. So I will. The Ropstein test network ready for merge dress rehearsal. Ethereum's oldest proof of work testnet is transitioning to proof of stake with 2 more to follow before focus shifts to mainnet. So I mean, we are going into the beta testing
and
stress testing of it.
Right, and this is going to be a market mover, right? Okay, because first of all, it's a bit of a surprise. I always talk about like there's known unknowns, right? Like when we talk about the Fed raising rates and inflation, it's like the market has literally been pricing this in for months. You know it's coming. Like they're telling you it's coming. The market prices in. It's been a huge debate. Like, will it be ready? He always says it's going to be. This is almost, it's like, oh, wait. August? Like, wait, next month? You mean?
Yeah.
So people are like, wait a minute. Why are we selling all of our fucking ETH? Okay. Like, what is going on? All of a sudden we break out of this haze. Like, wait a minute. What do we mean everything's going to zero? What sense does that make? ETH2 is coming, right? And you're going to see this buying and people getting in now. Now, I don't think that the turbulence is over for the year. I've talked about that a lot. But what's causing this right now? I think we talked about this on the show. There is going to come a point, which is about a month before ETH2 is deployed, where miners can't sell. It's a technical reason. Okay, they're not going to be literally all the You remember I brought up the thread. It was from DC Investor. We talked about it on the show, but I am not a technical guy. I will have to go find it if we want me to explain it. The bottom line was miners are not going to be able to sell for 3 to 4 weeks before ETH2 goes live. That relieves all the miner sell pressure. At the end of last week, I started to go, was that like capitulation? Was that the last of the miners like getting ready to sell before all of a sudden they can't because ETH2 is about to be deployed? Exchanges will also, the supply of ETH is going to start drying up on exchanges because miners aren't going to be there to replenish it. So what is this going to do? Obviously, bit of a supply crisis. I think it'll be short term. The way the chart is technically, I'm looking for ETH to get to 3,600. I do think this is going to happen over the course of like almost 2 months. So just a month and a half. So like not a straight line. There will be scary days in between, reasons why I'm wrong, doubt, all that shit that we usually have on the way up. I do think ultimately before the merge, and this is key, pre-merge, we will hit the $3,400 to $3,600 area somewhere in there. And then, as it always is, especially once those miners are allowed to start fucking selling again and they see $3,600 ETH, you could bet they're going to hit that bid, right? And who knows what the excuse will be. It could be like, oh, this part of the code like didn't go right. Like, who knows? There will always be something, right? There will always be something you could spin bearish if you need to for a thesis. So I'm expecting us to get to 3,600 on ETH over the next month and a half. And then I'm expecting us to pull all the way back to 2,200, maybe even 2,100 into October. I think that 2,100 will be a generational buying opportunity. I think that will be the end of at least the price portion of the bear market that we're in. And even if it's not a straight line up at that point, I think you see new all-time highs before any type of quote unquote crash again.
Yeah, I mean this stuff happens in a hurry, right? I mean we did go through quite a drop down last year, a little bit later in the year in July. You know, this has actually happened pretty recently. I think the dynamics are a little bit different right now.
Oh yeah,
but
you know.
The macro is substantially different. Yeah. And I know it's so easy to just look at a chart and say, well, it happened there, it's going to happen here. Obviously, that's not the case. Things change over time. The interest rates are different. There's a war going on right now. Tons of different things to take into account. But when it happens, I mean, it happens in a hurry. This was a 4-month stretch where we went from a pretty dramatic low of 1,700 all the way up to just under $5,000, right? And that was that rocky ride right here. So you know, it's a bumpy ride, but if you can hold on, if you're not a trader, it really is just all about holding and timing some buys if you have some extra liquidity. If you are a trader, I mean, this is your Super Bowl right now. I mean, the volatility is range bound, and if you're timing the highs and lows within this range, you're probably crushing it right now.
Man, look, this is a trader's paradise. Don't listen to them this year. They're not there trying to predict the next trend. They're there they're the arms dealer. They want both sides to be buying weapons from them. Okay. That's how the traders are looking at it right now. So we have trend followers, and
they're just 22 is a sell, 18's a buy, 22 is a sell, 18's a buy. This is like clockwork. They're doing this, and eventually that won't be the case anymore. But right now, they're just boom.
Yeah, but zoom back out on that chart a little bit. You know, the big scary thing as a technician that we're looking at is this giant head and shoulders here, and the way that these technical patterns play out is you measure the neckline to the top of the head, and you figure that is how low it can go from its neckline, right? We broke down below the neckline slightly, as you can see there. It looked like, based on that head and shoulders, that $1,200, $1,300 target would be where it would resolve. But you would be surprised how often these patterns are just made to trap people.
Yeah.
And not on purpose, okay, but just the psychology of the way markets work. Remember, any technical pattern, they work out like 65.
I was actually literally just going to say that and kind of ask you about it. I mean, these are percentage-based plays to get a little bit of an edge, right?
Right.
It's like counting cards in blackjack, right?
Exactly.
Counting cards in blackjack, if you're just sitting there by yourself, if you play perfect blackjack without counting cards, the casino's at a 51% advantage, so 51.49, which is actually pretty slight. You can go on some nice runs and make some money doing it. If you're counting cards, you're pushing the edge in your advantage by no more than 2 or 3%. Everyone thinks, oh, counting cards, like you're locked in. Nope. You are just increasing that advantage a little bit so that in the long run, your plays are more positive. Your positive EV, and that's what TA is, right? Like if you can say that this pattern works 60% of the time, so 6 out of 10 times that I make this bet, I'm going to be in the right, and 4 times I'm going to lose. You're up 2 plays in profit, right?
Right.
And I think that's the one thing that people really misunderestimate when it comes to TA. They say, oh, it's tea leaves. It doesn't work. No, of course it doesn't work all the time. If it worked all the time, everyone would be trillionaires and then it wouldn't work, right? But it is just finding a little bit of an edge in the market so that you can make your plays work out over a long term.
And those edges get expenentially lower over time. I mean, everyone
knows about the head and shoulder.
Yeah. Well, and that's why it's almost the edge has almost been reduced to nothing at this point because everyone's watching the same headset. Now, I made a prediction. I think I sent you the chart yesterday, if you guys want to bring it back up, of what I think is going to happen here. I think a head and shoulders is going to turn into an inverse Head and Shoulders. And we're literally going to make the exact same pattern in the inverse and then go to the upside as well. And that's what I think is going to play out now over the
like this could be the shoulder. This will be the head.
No.
You'd have upside down. Oh, okay.
Bring up the chart I sent you in Discord, I think yesterday. It should be there.
Was it on your Twitter? I don't think you sent it to me. I know you talked about it, though. No, it's okay. Yeah. I'll find it. It was on your Twitter, though, right?
Yep.
So you've been tweeting a lot lately.
Yeah, you're dead. So when we tie it back to what type of bear market this is, because that's where I was going when I was talking about 2017 before and everything. That was a bear market in crypto because of the early adoption cycle. But crypto's only existed in a macro bull market, and now we're in the first bear within a second bull. All right, yeah, exactly. So just as this big scary Head and Shoulders here could resolve down, well, we could make another big, scary inverse Head and Shoulders that could resolve up. And that's
what I was saying. That was the shoulder. That's going to be the head. The next shoulder will be over here. Yeah.
I know, but I wanted to show my work. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, the math problem. Show your work.
Yeah, exactly. But the reason I think this pattern's going to play out, too, is because kind of I
like that you were watching Tezos as well here.
Yeah. Well, you know why I watch Tezos? Because I stack it to be able to buy the drops on there. Like I think a lot of companies are going to use Tezos over, say, Solana, because like Solana is still mired by the idea that it's it's scams. The whole damn network can go down for 24 hours at a time. That's never happened to Tezos. There's a lot of great art and independent artists on Tezos. I'm actually pretty bullish on it. I don't trade it. I literally I use KuCoin to buy it, so that's why.
Tezos is weird, man, because I remember I was digging through my my computer when I was switching over to a new PC, and just you start to look at all the files that you accumulated, see if there's anything you need or want in there and whatnot. And I found the original Tezos ICO drop along with the wallet and everything. And I didn't end up participating in it, but I thought, I wonder what would have happened if I had jumped in there and done it. And the answer was actually not very much. It's been a weird kind of drop. Like the ICO, you would be down right now from ICO, which is surprising. But it's just Tezos has just existed. It's made it through a pretty dramatic bear market, of course, in 2018, 19, and 20. And the activity is springing up on it. So, I mean, this is a coin that you could look at. If it continues to develop, it continues to, bolster its ecosystem. Developers are, it's appealing for developers to go work on it. And some, maybe some of the NFTs continue to be hot. We could be talking about Tezos in the same way we talked about Solana last year, as in like this big opportunity. I mean, this, again, it's been around, right? This is 3-4 years. This is a coin that you can start to bet on in a much longer sense. But for the time being, it's been volatile, but it hasn't done much.
We might as well, in that vein, start talking about optimism. Do you have the article pulled up for optimism, the airdrop?
Nope, but I can. I actually didn't know too much about it. I was hoping that you'd be able to talk about it.
So this is, I think largely the next bull cycle is going to be defined by L2s. Arbitrum is the one we know right now, which supports the Magic ecosystem. And Optimism is an L2, been around for a little bit. If you either used it, used other L2s, ever participated in a multi-sig wallet, ever joined and voted in a DAO, you may be eligible for the airdrop. I say maybe because I did a bunch of those things, and for some reason I was not eligible, so I have been coping.
The way you were saying that sounded like one of those class action lawsuits commercial, like if you have been a victim of any of these things that you may be eligible for.
Yeah, no, go to the website, check if you're eligible. It was like all my homies were eligible. For some reason I was that, and I've been using Polygon for months now. I have no idea why. All you really had to do to get a small. Obviously, the people who got the largest airdrops were the one who were using Optimism and had sent ETH there and all that good stuff. But if you had either used Polygon for I think 3 months before the snapshot that they took, or there were a few parameters. So go check that out. See if you are eligible. It is quite a nice airdrop. I am seeing a lot of people get anywhere from 0.2 to 0.5 for, I'm talking having never used it. The people that have used it got over 1.5. Some got a lot more than that.
I'll have to go check that out. I actually didn't even, I was like, I don't think I'm going to get anything, but.
No, and this is, remember, this is an L2, right? So the coin trades on their L2. You have to send a little bit of ETH over to Optimism. Honestly, you could send 0.1. The fees are very, very low. It takes about 8 minutes for them to get over there. That is so you can claim your airdrop. Did it say $1.25?
It is at $1.35 right now. Yep.
I'm wondering. It got up to $2. It opened at like 4.5. Everybody dumped it down to 80 cents. And I was itching to buy. And I didn't realize it was an L2 coin. I didn't have any ETH over there, and I couldn't. It quickly ramped to $2. I started throwing things against my wall. Why, Jesus, why? And now it's at $1.25, and I'm wondering, I don't know whether the OP token itself is quote unquote the one. And this is not something I would have said probably even 6 months ago, but when we're talking about what coins do we want to get into for the next cycle, I will tell you the ones most interesting that already exist. I mean, I think you and I talked about your best strategy for the next cycle is always to be liquid and buy whatever's new, because it's not just NFTs. All crypto are attention tokens, and whatever has the most attention next cycle is going to be the best cook. It's just the way it is. I mean, that's just life. So, but of the ones that exist, I will tell you right now, Polygon, Matic, okay? I like Matic. Arbitrum doesn't have a token yet, but of course, Magic is the largest ecosystem over there. So check out Magic. And now OP. This is another L2. I think L2's major part of the next bull cycle. The other thing, I think, Curve and Uniswap. 2 coins that have been left for dead. I am very into when people have said, okay, something's a complete failure. It's left for dead. That was, idiots. I can't believe anyone held that. I'm like, okay, that's interesting, because Curve, easily one of the most important protocols ever created for Ethereum, not going anywhere, legitimate business, okay? And Uniswap, the most important app ever.
ENS was being talked about a lot in that too, because they just set an all-time high for monthly sales volume. And that, like, again, a revenue producing business, even though it's governance.
Do you mean on Up Only?
Yeah, that's what they were talking about. Yeah.
Ooh, they were talking about, I'm telling you, see, this is the type of confirmation I like. Like, my favorite thing in markets is when I have an idea where my brain goes, oh, that's kind of interesting. That is kind of the way I'm thinking about something, right? Then I see someone smart either say or tweet something similar, like, oh, I've been thinking about it. And then my brain goes, oh, shit, maybe there's something there. Then when I get like confirmation from Colby, who is like, one of my gods in this market, somebody, who I look at, those are my 3 points of confluence where I go, okay, I'm going to go ape, ENS, Curve, and Uniswap. Look.
And what was the one coin that they were talking poorly upon?
Ape?
Yeah.
I knew it. I knew it. See, I didn't. It was funny because R2 told me about the podcast today. I haven't had a chance to listen to it. So I was just guessing there. But look, I can't. It's hard to.
Great conversation. Keyboard Monkey was on it too. It's good.
Oh, he was KBM. That is the
and some kid and some younger kid. They were good. It was a great discussion. And I mean, they're kind of doing what we're doing. It's bear market. They just jump on the show and they just start talking about stuff, and wherever it goes, it goes. They start talking about NFTs for a while, and just the markets, just how they're dealing with it. Whatever.
Don't listen to crypto Twitter guys about NFTs.
They make fun of crypto Twitter a lot too.
No, seriously, don't listen to crypto Twitter guys about NFTs. Not that they can't be right, okay? Don't ever discount something someone says because they, just because they're from a certain group. But just understand, crypto Twitter at large doesn't get NFTs. They didn't originally. They thought it was stupid and a scam part of our industry. And at moments like this, they're going to come out and say, see, we were right.
Yeah,
See,
I remember when DeFi was a scam part of the industry.
Right, exactly. So I would discount, I don't completely not listen, but I discount slightly the most extreme things that they say about NFTs. Because again, when you have conviction about something, you just have to have that conviction. It's not that you don't listen to rational arguments the other way, but if you have conviction, you have conviction. So whatever. But yeah, I'm very into real coins, real companies that have revenue. The one disconnect for everybody is these are just governance tokens. And, quite frankly, that doesn't mean shit all right now. I'm in mode, okay? I get that they're just governance tokens. I somehow believe that as regulation becomes clearer, those are going to turn into a share of revenue. And I don't know. Look, I mean, maybe I don't know the tech, but can't they just put up a DAO vote? Like revenue now goes, you know what I mean? Like, I think the only reason you don't do it right now is because you're not trying to bring like the regulatory wrath of God down on you before the industry even has its foothold in anything. But yeah, I'm really...
I'm going to add into this because while we're on the topic of crypto Twitter and Kobe and that podcast, and I actually highly recommend anyone go listen to it. It's just 2 hours of like good conversation from smart.
Don't listen to the one before it. No reason.
That one is bearish. Yeah, and they are typically bearish, but not in a bad way. Like they just they're pretty pragmatic when it comes to the conversation. The one thing that they did say, they were saying like, what are you doing? What are you doing in the bear market? Like, how are you coping? Basically, Keyboard Monkey's like, I think I'm just gonna go travel, go touch grass, whatever, decompress, et cetera, et cetera. And then they asked Kobe, and he was basically just like, he said something really interesting to me, and I thought it was very profound. He said, look, I've been doing this for 10 years now. Okay. And the entire thesis of my play is, from the bottom till now was basically the validation period of crypto. Okay. We went through all of these cycles where, Bitcoin went from completely unknown to a meme. People are, kind of, it's just a speculative asset. People are just trading it to make some money, et cetera, et cetera. Ethereum came out. It's been growing. He's like, the market dynamic has shifted now because everything has been validated. Everybody's aware of it. Everybody knows it exists, and everybody, believes that it's not going anywhere for the most part. He said now the shift is, and this is going to go back to free markets point. How is this coming into the real world? Right? Because we still exist in this little fairy tale metaverse Web3 world. And yeah, that's great. That's what we all want to strive towards or whatever. But the next cycle is now the justification of it, where is this going to apply in normal people's day-to-day lives? Because let's face it, if you're here right now, the 20 odd people listening to it, you and I, like, we're not the normal people that are trying to figure out why they need this in their lives. We're coming up with all of the ways that it can change the world, that it can be applied to all of this stuff. And that's part of the speculation that we're doing on a day-to-day basis. We think this is neat. This could be a use case. Oh, this could, tickets and access and all of that stuff. It sounds all great, but normal people need it to be justified, right? Like why do I care about this on my day-to-day basis? I'm not going to be listening to podcasts. I'm not going to be watching charts 5 hours a day. I'm not going to be flipping NFTs. What's in it for me? And that's the next stage of all of this, right? Where in the world does this actually go in the real physical go touch grass world? And I just thought that was a great point because he's right. The validation of crypto has happened now.
Completely.
Now where's the justification?
Look, and a $1.5 trillion industry, nothing. Literally not even as big as the third largest company or the second largest company in the world, right? Mm-hmm. It's very, very tiny, but now it's legitimate.
Yeah.
And it feels like the internet in the early 90s. We make this comparison all the time. I think we're going to go through the hyper parabolic mass realization stage next, where it's like a lot of good, the Microsofts, the Cisco systems, those guys, that probably already exist are going to present themselves and become the stalwarts. And then a bunch of pets.com and eToys and a bunch of bullshit things are also going to come about, but contribute to the massive blow off and parabolic top. And then as we crash into the 2030s and plenty of mergers happen, like AOL merges with Time Warner and Yahoo is bought by, and all this type of stuff. It'll be another bear market of building. Innovation will happen, and then we'll have our iPhone moment, right? And then someone will release something that ties crypto perfectly together with the outside world in our daily lives, much like the iPhone did with the internet. The internet didn't really become the internet until we had mobile computing. So there are phases that we're going through here. And, bottom line, I think the next cycle is defined by real coins that are at least representing real companies.
Gamers were one of the first to really adopt the internet in a very social way too, right? Like there was social media, but people were like connecting on video games and whatnot too. And I do think that the P2E scene is going to help propel that forward. Again, sorry to keep going back to this podcast. If you're going to listen to it, I'm basically just, telling you everything about it. But they actually did have a pretty good conversation about P2E. And it was essentially just like, the games that exist right now aren't really games and they're not really fun. Like, it's not... They really did talk about like the redefinition of what that is and what that looks like, right? And I thought that was really cool too.
Yeah, of course. I mean, what can be built on chain right now cannot match what you could make on a high-end PC, a centralized server, and a PlayStation, whatever. Of course. That is not to say that something cannot redevelop. The gimmick, quote unquote, of making money is a powerful one. All right. And people will sacrifice certain things for that part of the P2E experience. All right. So as the most obvious example is the pixel art versus the realistic 3D graphics you tend to see in video games nowadays. I think once people start seeing the loot box effect that you get on crypto, the same way that you have with centralized or traditional gaming, except with crypto, those assets can be traded freely and easily. That it's going to be very profound for people, right? Like even now, you just saw the Netherlands is banning FIFA. Who is it? Who's doing FIFA's loot boxes? They're going to ban FIFA because they consider the loot boxes gambling.
That's actually been happening a lot in the past too. Yeah. The first step was to they had to define the odds of getting each of the items, and they had to clearly tell you what could possibly come out of this loot box.
Yeah.
So that you understood the odds behind it. But yeah,
so what's going to happen here? People are going to look for the quote unquote decentralized option. And it's not that the game needs to be decentralized. It's that your ability to use and trade these assets has to be, so that things like what's happening in the Netherlands can happen. I do think that is why, and eventually modern gaming will marry with on-chain gaming, and you will have the 3D, whatever kids want now, you'll have it on chain. But I don't think that means you discount what's going to be out there, because I think just look at STEPN. I mean, STEPN practically became a phenomena, and when the real bull market comes back, I'm sure it will be. And it's just because it's something that makes sense to people. I remember back in the day, there was an iOS app that was going to pay you to work out, and I forget what the business model was. I think it had something to do with advertising, but this is something that people, it makes sense to people. Somehow people's minds can get there, and I do think that it's going to.
So we were having a discussion about P2E and like what the expectations were for how much you could earn, and we had the conversation about like I kind of posited the question like how many hours have been played in World of Warcraft versus like what the revenue they've generated. Like is there a dollar value to a person's hour playing World of Warcraft or whatever? The answer was interesting. Do you want to take a stab at it?
So a dollar value to playing World of Warcraft, $13 an hour.
No. Sorry. Like, so Blizzard is the company that made World of Warcraft, and they're
Right.
accumulating the revenue. So, what do you think the revenue is per hour of somebody playing? Right? Like, what is that worth?
Oh, of one customer, I would say like $150 an hour.
Oh no, it's 12 cents.
12 cents an hour. Nice.
Yeah, that's so it's fascinating. 70, almost 80 billion hours of World of Warcraft have been played.
Wow.
80 billion. That's almost 9 million years. And they've brought in a roughly, I think it was, where did I do the math here? $8 billion in revenue in its lifetime, which is definitely not nothing. But it was just, when you're trying to kind of wrap your head around, like, how much could you theoretically earn playing a game? And I'm not talking about tomorrow or next year or 5 years from now. I'm talking about like in a real mature system, right? Where the revenue is kind of redistributed rather than going to the business, just redistributed amongst the customers playing. So yeah, the most successful MMO of all time would be about 12 cents an hour.
And a live update, markets just got plugged completely. They went from up 1% to down 0.5%. Now, I am positing that this has to do with quantitative tightening. I'm not sure, but since I was on the show talking, I did not see what the breaking reason was on. If there was one, it could just be that it just sold off because people were leaning the wrong way. But just an update.
ETH holding up, still slightly green from when we started the show, but the S&P went up.
No, it fell $40 ETH. ETH was at 1970. It's 1930 now. So.
Oh, I've got 1950. Sorry. Yeah. Could just be a different lag in the chart. There you go. All right. So, well, speaking of P2E and NFTs, EtherOrcs and Wolfgame getting a little bit of a swell. Wolfgame Genesis Wolves went up, I think, about 30-40% on the day. I'm going to pull up WGMI just because I start to look for stuff on there. But yeah, they did a little bit of a bounce. Where did that go? I don't know. Whatever. EtherOrcs Allies making a little bit of a move too, so starting to see some light come back into the P2E scene as well. People still playing Raid Party as they kind of try and figure that out, but it's still active. People are still doing it. I see Pranksy minting new heroes and fighters all the time. So maybe a little bit of life in the P2E scene at this very moment. Maybe it's just people are getting bored. Any thoughts on that, or is it just time? I know, obviously, you're always very bullish on it, but
no, I think they hit their low. There's no way they're going low.
I mean, that's fair.
They were at 0.55. Absurd. I mean, I was telling anybody I knew to ape in. And look, the dungeon crawls are so fun. The main issue right now is they give you an 18-hour cooldown where you can't play. And it's very frustrating because I would do and I would do 5 of these dungeon crawls back to back.
Yeah.
But they were like, we want to respect people's time and we don't want hello.
Yeah, that's hard because you definitely want to encourage the people that are playing your game as much as possible to play as much as possible, right? Like you want them glued to the screen. That's the
there
goal.
Is way too much of a
sold actually last
what did someone pay for that?
25 ETH. This guy is he aped in the EtherOrcs. I actually saw that this morning.
All right, so I knew someone was going to do it. It was just a matter of time. But there's too much of a mental health meme going on in this industry, and none of us are here for vacation. This isn't a spa. We're not here to be sat down on a couch and talked to by a psychiatrist. This is fucking war. We are out here trying to provide for our goddamn families. We are out in the woods hunting meat. We need to eat, motherfucker. There will be time to heal afterward. There will be time to heal in the 2030s on your island. Mental health. Let me put these dungeon crawls back to back, Poof.
Yeah, fuck the mental health. Let me just rip my whole psyche apart so I can play this game as much as possible. Oh, speaking of mental health, let's talk about the cope that is turning into Goblintown. Just when everyone says it can't go any higher, just like the MFers, we're going higher. Important. 6.6 ETH right now. Fuck. Yes. Crazy.
AlphaMint all over the goblins. Shout out.
Yeah, huge. Look at this volume just going nuts again.
No. Yeah. Perfect meme. Perfect meme.
I looked at them at 0.4.
Like every time
still high.
Like 10 ETH is programmed, it's the top. But just like, you know, never short the hot thing. Like whatever the hot thing is, I don't care how much it's bothering you. You don't get in front of momentum. Momentum has a funny way of just going farther than people think. Okay, so just don't. If you missed it, you missed it. There'll be many. I mean, we were saying this after Azuki. We said this.
Cyber brokers.
We said this after every goddamn cook this year is that there is going to be something even more crazy in a month. You're never going to and look, Goblin.
In the midst of the lowest volume that we've seen in quite some time.
Right.
And when everyone says NFTs are dead, we're getting one of the biggest cooks, a free mint.
Exactly.
70th.
So exactly. So if you miss goblins, all right. There's going to
be another one.
There will be 100 more cooks before December 31st closes out. Just get ready for the next cook and stop worrying about these ugly goblins. One day they'll go to zero and you could dance on their graves. Until then, just worry about the next cook. Okay.
Yeah, and you know what? This is the time where like I'm telling myself I'm never gonna get caught illiquid again. You know, I already went through one bear market there, and I didn't do it properly, and now I'm here. But you know I know it was a free mint. So you're like, oh, what do you need liquidity for? But I wasn't there when the mint went down, but I did catch it. I think it was at 0.3 or 0.4, which. It's hard to buy at that point, but taking a position of a couple of them, obviously in hindsight, would have been a great cook. But it's hard to play this without liquidity, regardless. Like high levels of liquidity, I wouldn't be aping into this with a bunch. So the high last sale though, I just saw one. They're going for. What did I saw? There was like a 78 ETH sale recently. I thought I saw that in AlphaMint. What did I miss?
After King Krusty Butt sold for 69 ETH last week, you knew that these were crowned.
Who?
The next talk. King Krusty Butt.
Yeah, I get that. Where's this? Okay, where was that?
I don't know. It was last week. This was
Goblintown.
You have to look for it. Scroll down.
On Goblintown.
Scroll down.
Yeah, but this is the highest last sale. So this was the highest sale on OpenSea is saying 26 ETH. But I know that's right.
Maybe it's sold on Looks Rare, but one definitely sold.
Oh, yeah. Okay, that makes sense. I wasn't.
I don't know where it's sold, but it's sold for 69 ETH.
Yeah, because I'm seeing this Goblintown NFT. Well, I don't know. I'll look for
King Krusty Butt. All hail King Krusty Butt.
That one was sold for 10. Yeah, it must be on Looks Rare. That's my bad. Where we at? Is this the one?
No.
25 ETH right there.
Nope. It was a while ago. You'd have to scroll.
No. Sorry, I'm talking about the one this morning.
No, I don't know about this one.
Oh yeah, it was on Looks Rare. Okay, there we go. 77. Yeah, 78 ETH. Boom.
I don't know how people say it's low effort art.
I don't get that either. That is cope.
It's such good art, like it really is. Yeah.
It's good line work. It's clean. It works. It's its own unique kind of style.
Right. Ugly.
It's grungy. It's ugly.
Yeah, it's ugly. It doesn't mean it's bad art just because it's an ugly
goblins,
minion
right?
they drew, right?
Yeah, that'd be like, yeah, for sure. Goblintown, fucking killing it, man. Crazy. I should look on looks for it more often. I don't know. Recent activity. Yeah, it's moving. What's the floor on here? Same, 6.5. Congrats. If you're holding through all of that, man, you guys are fucking degens to the fullest. That's incredible. Only other thing I really had pulled up here was the Akuma Dragons mint. Pretty hyped up, hot mint. Actually, originally a Sol project. There was 1,100 of them on Sol coming over to ETH. That should tell you something. They did have some problems with their mint, though. It was loopable. They got a hold of it pretty quickly, I think. They said there was less than 5% affected, so they were managed deposit. Mouse Dev jumped in there and explained to them how to handle this. He basically just said the devs can mint the rest of them, put them into a separate contract, and sell them through that. I believe that's what they're going to do. So they'll be resuming their mint. This is going to be a 10K drop. But doing all right now. 1.3 ETH in volume, 1.3 thousand ETH in volume, and about a 0.8 floor. I'll give it a refresh. But important to note that once this is minted out, it will be revealed immediately. So there won't be a long pre-reveal stage if you're playing that. So if you're looking to snipe on the secondary and play that game, you got to just be ready for the public sale, because that will mint out pretty quickly.
Yep.
If there is a public sale. I know that they have to push a bunch to the allow list that minted out, but yeah, looking all right. I think it's actually pretty good pixel art, to be honest with you. It's higher res, so you're able to get some more details in there, but it's nice, clean, good color choices and whatnot. I like these. They're looking all right. So what about Tiger Bob NFT? What's Tiger Bob NFT? Do you know that one?
Nope, haven't heard of it. I do not know.
Tiger Bob NFT. Thousand Tiger Bobs made by hand. Okay. I don't know what the deets are on this one, though. There's so much stuff happening, man.
Mm-hmm.
See? Check it on Twitter. Yeah, there you go. I don't know, Sanchez. Give me your TLDR. Why should I be excited about Tiger Bob? Here we go. They're busy. Someone's already got a tattoo. Oh, they're sold out. Oh, they've minted. Okay. All right. Let's do some risky clicks on the links here. 0.25? Oh, it was 1,000 of them. Still 0.25. Oh, May 28th. Okay. Where is this? OpenSea. A dead fella Tiger Bob. They went to the V thing and it. Okay. Gotcha. Oh, wow. 1.2 floor. There you go. As they say, it was a cook. Cool. Oh, it looked like it was a lot higher than that too. Good volume. Cool. Yeah, I mean, I would have to do a little bit more looking into it, but yeah, that one slipped under the radar for sure. Cool. Free market. Anything else you want to roll with?
That is it, my friend.
BGAN's getting a nice little pump the last couple days. There you go. Our weekly BGAN check in there.
What they sell, like 5?
No, 2 days ago. It looked like they had a good 30, 40 sales.
Nice.
Yeah. There you go. Up 60%.
One day I get to come on the show and say, see, they're 10 ETH.
Yep. That'll happen. I have faith. I have faith. All right, my friend. Well, on that note, we can start to shut this shit down for the day. An hour feels good. Of course, I'll do the spiel as always. If you guys are tuning in late, the show is recorded. Actually, I do just want to give a shout out because we haven't had a ton of live listeners lately. I think that's kind of across the board down. People are losing interest and going to do other stuff, but still lots of views on the recorded ones, lots and lots of views. So I appreciate that. So if you're tuning in after the fact, it's always great to see that people are still enjoying it in that way too. That's what it's there for. So we of course always appreciate people's time when it comes to that stuff. On that note, we are going to wrap it up. Again, just another good market discussion. We reached out a little bit broader today. We talked a lot about Kobe, his podcast, and some of his theses trying to like fit into there. A little bit of P2E stuff, EtherOrcs and Wolf Games going on a little bit of a run. So maybe P2E is going to be next up on the list. Of course, Goblintown hitting almost 70th right now is just absolutely incredible. And then some just other random discussion, some chat with people. Always a great time being up here with you, my friend. We will reconvene tomorrow at 9:30 for the Thursday edition of the AM show. Of course, it'll be episode 131. I forgot to update the title this morning. My bad. On that note, free market. Do the thing.
Good luck at the tables, D-Gens.